Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, September 10th, 9 a.m. Eastern. So we have the S&P 500 opening a bit lower, and we're going to test the low of yesterday first thing. If that low of yesterday breaks, daily consolidation continues. The loss of the hourly uptrend yesterday told us daily consolidation to look for a higher low was underway. That's following through now. The first short-term resistance level I'm going to be watching is the lower high from the bounce yesterday afternoon, 298.23. So that's a resistance level to be watching. We have the low of yesterday as support, and if that level were to break after 297.16, we're going to look down at 296.64. So how this consolidation plays out is going to give us good indication of whether we're looking for continuation to a new all-time high test or whether the consolidation is more significant. And I think I said in the video yesterday, I forget which level I chose, but bulls have a lot of space to work with down into the mid 290s to still be healthy. Looking at the dollar on the daily time frame, it's still in a very tight range, waiting patiently for a break. Multiple daily inside bars. We have a triple top up at 98.54 and support is down at 98.14, patiently waiting for a break of that short-term range. Gold is trying to bounce after a little bit of a flush down last night. We have to be cautious of the 4-hour bear flag possibility. And at this point, we're looking back down towards the low. There's a lot of volatility this morning, but a bit of a double top at 1497 to be watching. And I am interested in the bull miners today, but we have to be watching what gold does, of course. And oftentimes recently, we've been seeing gold really choose its direction, and the miners as well, based on the market. So yesterday, gold and the miners weren't doing a whole lot, specifically the miners. They weren't doing much. And then SPY dropped down, broke the low of the day, and saw some flush on the 5-minute time frame. And that weakness sparked gold bulls and the bull miners to pretty much see their strongest move of the day. So just keep aware that that inverse relationship to the S&P 500 is definitely a major factor to be watching if you are trading anything related to gold and the miners. But I am keeping an eye on miners today, specifically NUGT, and just watching to see, can we get any kind of shift in momentum? It's looking like we're going to break the low of yesterday, 31.59 early on, and we're going to have to see a shift in the 4-hour time frame for gold for us to be confident that these bull miners can get some bounce. If we see a flush and weakness, the 4-hour RSI on NUGT will be oversold, and I would be interested in a potential oversold bounce play at that point, but I would need to see a move down into the lower $30 range before I was interested in an oversold bounce play. Otherwise, I need to see some kind of strength in gold. So silver, same thing, pulling back hard on the daily, trying to change the 4-hour trend. It's a potential bear flag at this point, and we're just looking down at the low of 1776 and the high of the bounce at this point of 1803 and waiting for some short-term clarity as the bears still have the upper hand on the short term. Oil breakout continues. Really nice follow through for the bulls. Now 58.79. If we get over 58.79, that's going to be the highest price that we've seen in almost 2 months. So piece by piece, the bulls are, it's the wrong word, bit by bit, the bulls are making their follow through. And the weekly time frame is trying to shift this momentum convincingly and follow the S&P 500 strength. Natural gas is still a raging bull. So at this point, I just have to give a complete word of caution. Yes, in any normal situation, we would be looking for a pullback and bearish entries in natural gas. We need to treat this like a blue sky breakout. And it's definitely not a blue sky breakout, but why we're going to treat it like one is because there is a short squeeze underway and the RSI levels go out the window. They're meaningless. So the only way that we can be playing this bearish is if we have a very clearly defined stop level. We cannot just be scaling in bearish because that's how we get into a lot of trouble on a move that gets really extreme. And again, all we have to do is look at history and say, yeah, 1 year ago, this was insane and it crushed a ton of people, and we have to treat it like it could be that again. And that does not mean look for bullish entries, in my opinion. In my opinion, there's no bullish entries up here. Even if we run another 5%, I would say risk to reward does not favor bullish entries, but bearish entries are still very high risk as well. Look at this 15-minute exponential moving average support. This has been holding for the last 2 days, and this is our guide on this most recent move up. So if that level is support, the bulls are still just fine as far as I'm concerned. And if that level becomes resistance and we lose the 15-minute uptrend and we see a bear cross of these exponential moving averages on the 15-minute time frame, then that could be a signal for a short-term bearish entry to top fish the current high and to look at 4-hour time frame, just looking for a 4-hour high or low. The last 4-hour high or low was 240. That's almost 10% ago. So we are looking for a 4-hour high or low to form, but we're not even going to be looking for 4-hour consolidation until we lose the 15-minute exponential support that just continues to get defended every time it's touched. And we're testing it again right now. Bitcoin's still in a tightening range. The 4-hour time frame, I'm watching this equilibrium where we have the low, high, higher low, lower high, held support, but the bulls need a little bit of a bounce over 10,300 to remain in the middle of this tightening range. Right now, the bears have some favor just because it is, a $50, $60 move for a bear break, and it would require a $140 move for a bull break. So things are getting very tight, volume dropping off, and we're watching for a volume spike and a break of this range today. If the bulls can get back to 10,300, then it might require waiting until tonight for that break to take place. So plays I'm watching today, like I said, NUGT definitely on watch for me to see if these bulls can shift momentum after a straight drop 3 days in a row and a potential small gap down open. I'm going to be watching DGAS very cautiously, but I will be watching for the potential opportunity for an entry into DGAS. And I'm going to be watching the MJ sector because one of the USMJ names, MedMen, just passed a deadline of where the DOJ could ask for more information. Pretty much, long story short, there is a deal between MedMen and another company that was on hold because the DOJ needed more info, and time has expired, so it's looking like that deal is moving forward. And there's a handful of names that have their own deals waiting, and this could be perceived bullish for those names. So OH, Curaleaf, and I think HARV is another one, all with pending deals, and we should see a reaction from those names today in response to this news. So let's start it off with CGC. So the low of yesterday is currently holding. There's bid support trying to prevent a gap down open on CGC. There were bids stacked there, and then a couple little more bids showed up. So 2681 is the low of yesterday. We're not even seeing daily consolidation unless that level breaks. So it's been a higher low every day, 4 days in a row, and we have to break 2681 to then be looking for the daily higher low to form. So 2681 is the first support, then we're looking to 2627. But all that matters is the low of yesterday as far as whether it's a gap down or not. 9.6 doesn't come into play at all as far as that. Amazon. So Amazon had a bull break yesterday straight into a drop and a pretty brutal fake out, and that's why paying attention to the S&P 500 and QQQ is so important, because that's definitely the reason we dropped so hard after that bull break. So we're going to test the low of yesterday first thing, 1824. If that level breaks, the next support is down at 1816. So a bit of space, and on any bounce attempt, because we did pull back so hard yesterday, we will just be looking for an hourly lower high, because anything under 1850 is an hourly lower high. So consolidation is underway. The bulls have a lot of space on the daily chart. Anything above 1764 is a daily higher low. And the bulls ideally want to hold these exponential moving average supports on the daily to keep this consolidation very healthy. So that's just a little visual guide where we can say continuation is likely if those supports hold. And if we lose those supports, then that changes the picture. But everybody wants to see very healthy consolidation. I should say all bulls want to see healthy consolidation these couple days here on the markets and these individual major players. Apple has an event today at 1 p.m. Eastern. Definitely likely to see a spike in volatility when that happens. We have a big long lower wick on yesterday's candlestick, which is a bit of an anomaly, and it ruins the chart as far as I'm concerned. 213.36 is the low of yesterday. So we're going to test that low first thing, 213.36. If that breaks, we're looking at 212.51. and daily consolidation will be underway just like most other names, and we will be looking for a daily higher low compared to 204.22. So the bulls are fairly comfortable in the sense that even if it's a bearish reaction to this event this afternoon, we have a lot of space to form a daily higher low. If it were a bullish reaction, 221.37 is the highest price we've seen in almost a year, and that was the high of the bull reaction to earnings before market weakness occurred. So that is the next most important level if it were a bullish reaction. And it will likely have an impact on QQQ at 1 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to be watching what Apple is doing, even if you're in Amazon or Netflix or any other names that could see a little bit of a reaction to it. And while I'm talking here, natural gas, just another perfect bounce right off of the 15-period exponential moving average support. Definitely looks to me like there's some bots triggered to buy when that level is hit. So Netflix had the bull break yesterday, but straight into a pretty solid pullback. So we're watching this hourly tightening range. We have the low of yesterday. The high of the afternoon bounce is 295, and we're going to test that low of 290.60 first thing. So if 290.60 were to break, definitely a red flag for the bulls, and we'd be looking back down towards our low of 282.79. So pretty much a very disappointing day yesterday after the morning started so strong, breaking the daily lower high, trying to get over the daily exponential resistance, and we ended up closing right at that level yet again, and actually just under it by 14 cents. Every single test continues to get rejected from these exponential moving averages. Bulls have to change that. FRAN looking like some consolidation taking place before the open, but it's a potential 5-minute bull flag. So key resistance will be 10.07, the high of pre-market, and the bulls are going to hope to form a higher low before the bell rings, and that will be the key support to be watching. So NUGT, we're watching that low of yesterday. First thing, 31.59. Anything on the hourly chart under 34.18 is just a lower high. So the hourly trend is going to be key, because we're not going to see any kind of daily bounce unless that hourly trend does change. So those are the two levels I'm watching first thing, 31.59 and 34.18. If we break 31.59 and get follow through, it means remain patient, because the gold bulls are not giving us enough indication that their bottom has been set yet for the bulls, for the bull miners to be confident. Potential bottom fishing play first thing with 31.59. We had a tiny one yesterday that lasted briefly, had a little bounce off the double bottom at the low of the day. But if we do open above that level, that will be worth keeping an eye out for. So again, for natural gas, it's the 15-minute exponential support. And cannot stress enough how clear that level is. For you guys, you could use the 15-minute exponential support here as well. It's a little bit different, but very similar. So again, as long as that level holds, the bulls keep complete control. And if that level is lost, we zoom out and we look for an hourly higher low to form. For you guys, the last hourly higher low was down at 21.42. So the bulls have about 4 or 5% to work with. But again, 15-minute exponential 12-period support is our guide for the morning. And if I were in a position that I wanted to take profit on, that would be my signal, closing below that support convincingly. We have had a couple candles close below it and then get right back above it. But actually only one. T. So T had the gap up open and a ton of profit taking. Our support is the low down at 36.66, and we're now just looking for a bounce and a lower high to form. Short-term resistance will be 37.32. And if we get over 37.32, I would zoom out to the 4-hour time frame and be watching for a 4-hour equilibrium. So certainly looking for a daily inside bar. But all about 37.32 resistance first thing. Bulls want to create as much space as possible above 36.66 for the potential of an hourly trend change further down the line. VGW. So VGW is trying to change the daily trend. We have to get over 356. Next resistance after that is 379. Get over 356 convincingly, and that is a daily trend change for the first time in a long time. And we have not seen that in a while on VGW. So that would be notable. If we change the daily trend, we zoom out and we say, all right, anything under 405 is a weekly lower high. So we'll keep perspective in that way. And the must-hold daily support is 314. I believe VGW announced something with earnings. I don't know if it was just a preview or actually earnings itself, but either way, all about 356 resistance first thing. VFF profit taking yesterday. So we're watching the low of yesterday. First thing, if we see a bear break of 1162, we're looking down at 1140 as the next level. And the daily time frame, we're going to look for a higher low to form compared to 1018. So consolidation, very similar setup to CGC, APHA, all those other names. Correlation certainly there. And as I keep saying, the bulls must form a daily higher low today ideally, and then end of this week head to higher highs. Because if we don't, we're going to be very skeptical of these bulls after their strength last week gets no follow through, unless we get that follow through. NIO. So NIO, it's all about 327 on the daily time frame. Bulls want to break the high of yesterday first thing of 314 and then 327. I'm watching for the potential of an inverse head and shoulders if we reject from 327, but anything on the hourly above 305 is a higher low, keeping the bulls in control. KHRN. So KHRN is looking for a daily higher low to form. Have to change the hourly trend back in favor of the bulls. So anything under 170 is an hourly lower high. And we need to hold 160 and then change that hourly trend for the daily higher low to be established. If 160 is our daily higher low, that's very bullish. That's very bullish consolidation. It's exactly what the bulls want to see. If we break 160, it's starting to get a little bit more than the bulls would like to see. So I would say if the bulls can hold 160 and break 170, it's potential for a small little daily bull flag. Trying for the cup and handle on the daily time frame, but the bulls are going to have to break the daily inside bar bullish 1192, and then we're looking at 12, and then 1224, or actually 1233 is the most, 1234 is the most important. Step number one, break the daily inside bar bullish. Doesn't mean we have to break out today, but bulls would have to break out within the next couple of days over 1234 for this pattern to be successful. And 1150 is the must-hold support level. Otherwise, it will no longer be a cup and handle pattern, in my opinion. PLG, daily higher low trying to form. Have we changed the hourly trend? Answer is no. This is just a bounce off the lows. We will need a clear hourly higher low and higher high to be confident that that's our daily higher low. 167 resistance followed by 175. And bulls will have to hold 149. And we would look for a bounce if we do change the hourly trend, and if we do get over 167, we would then look for a daily lower high and a tightening range because we ended up pulling back 25% from that recent high. SQ, long lower wick yesterday. So we don't have an hourly trend change. It was a bull move, squeezing a couple shorts there. But we have to hold 59.07 and then break the high of that move, 61.50, to change the hourly trend. Otherwise, we're just going to fade back down and look for the daily inside bar. So 59.07 is key support. And if we hold that level and don't see a strong bullish response back to 61.50, daily inside bar is pretty much a sure thing. Tesla. So Tesla would be a little bit of a red flag if we were to break 229.60. We still have the hourly uptrend, but if we lose 229.60, we lose the hourly uptrend, and that's coming after a daily bull break to change the trend. Definitely just bad timing as far as market consolidation occurring during that bull break. But it would be a lack of follow-through, and we would then be looking down at, after 229.60, it's 229.03, and 226.83. So key support test first thing. The bulls need to hold 229.60 and break 231.79 to keep that momentum in their favor. CRM 148.09, low of yesterday, is going to be tested first thing. After that level, 145.47 is the next support. Anything on the hourly chart under 149.76 is just a lower high. We've been in a clear hourly downtrend for quite some time, and that is continuing. And if we break that low of yesterday, the bears continue to keep full control. I will be looking for a weekly equilibrium here, which means a weekly higher low compared to 137.87, but there's a lot of space that higher low can form in. So bears still have control with the hourly downtrend clear. TWLO all-out dump yesterday, hourly time frame. Little weak bounce attempt at the end of the day. So short-term resistance is 112.08 and 108.60 is short-term support. So $2.50 needed for a bull break and less than $1 needed for a bear break. If we do see a bear break, next support level after 108.60, really 103.25 is the next level it stands out. HUBS, also dumping, losing the daily uptrend. Weekly chart, the most important support is 161.64. Bounce yesterday afternoon, 176.06 short-term resistance, but even if we get over that level, we are just looking at it as an hourly lower high if it's under the high of yesterday. So we'll need an hourly trend change on these beat-up names to be confident that any kind of bounce can take place. And it looks like they're going to be testing their lows first thing. Lunch with Lori live at noon. Thanks for the reminder. DNR. Any consolidation that we see, we'll be looking for an hourly higher low to form as we did not consolidate yesterday. Very nice equilibrium bull break at 119, and that is follow through. A 10% move, 9%, is exactly the follow-through the bulls want to see. So 133 and 134 are two short-term resistance levels, and the bulls just want to keep that hourly uptrend in their favor. If we don't break 130 first thing, we'll have to be cautious of the potential of a daily inside bar because that's a catalyst, or I should say a signal, for profit-taking and potentially bears to jump on it if we don't break the high of yesterday on an initial attempt. TNDM, also an all-out dump. So we look at the hourly. The hourly didn't even get a bounce attempt going yesterday. 61.70, if that level breaks. Next support is down at 61.10. And the bears keep full control on any hourly bounce. We're just looking for a lower high as we didn't get an hourly bounce yesterday. So another name, there's quite a few of them just with all-out dumps. And there's been a lot of posts the last 24 hours, or last 12 hours, talking about how the high flyer, more volatile names are seeing a pullback and funds are going into the steady discount names. There goes natural gas bear break. So right when it lost that 15-minute exponential support, big pullback. Pull up that chart real quick. So that's obviously a notable shift in the short-term action. So now we zoom out to the 4-hour chart and we look for a 4-hour higher low and we watch 4-hour exponential support, which has held the last 4 or 5 tests. That's down at 256.60, still a ways away. So that's the first actual bear follow-through we've seen in a couple days. And look at the daily candle now. Still a ways to go, but we'll be watching to see if we're going to get a bearish reversal candlestick on the daily. All right, where are we? Cron. So Kron had bad news yesterday. 1117 is going to be tested first thing, and then we're looking at 11 psychological, and then we're looking back down at our lows. 1071, 1058 have to hold. Otherwise, we're just dropping down to lower lows. So not a good day yesterday, just in terms of how much we have already pulled back from the top. We're closer to a bear break than a bull break at this point. And the bulls need to show up and change this hourly trend. And anything, pretty much any bounce, the first bounce that we see on the hourly, we're just going to be looking for a lower high to form. So UWT, also a little bit extended. Most important support for me is 1321 for the hourly higher low. 1353, so we're going to see a small gap up open. And next resistance level, again, you want to be just using oil as your guide because oil does not have time decay like UWT does, which makes those resistance levels different. Still in an hourly uptrend, that's what I would be watching today as the most important factor. If we lose the hourly uptrend, then we'll be looking for pullback for a daily higher low to form. ZM, going to test the low of yesterday. First thing, 77.20. If it breaks, lack of support. Looking down at 75.65 as the next level after that. And on the hourly time frame, anything under 80.26 is just a lower high. So test of the low of yesterday is coming first thing. Shop's going to test the low first thing, 350.33, key support. And the bulls need to hold that level and break 360.63, the high of yesterday afternoon's bounce, and then break the high of pre-market to change the hourly trend. So support test first thing, have to change the hourly trend to try and see some kind of bounce on the daily. So bulls are hoping for a daily inside bar. DVN. So DVN, nice bull break on the daily. Resistance is going to be 24.98. And if we can get over 25, we'll be looking up at 25.76 is the next level. And the hourly higher low to keep the bulls in full control is 23.98. So a nice strong hourly uptrend. Changing or getting follow through from the daily trend change. Zooming out on the weekly, keeping in mind that anything under 27.60 is just a weekly lower high. But bulls still have full short-term control at this point. HCAT, all-time low yesterday. Hourly bounce, we're just looking for a lower high to form compared to 37.07. The bulls would have to top out, hold the low of yesterday, and then break the top of that bounce in order to convincingly change the hourly trend, which would have us zoom out and look at anything under 40.43 as just a daily lower high. Silver just changed the hourly trend a bit more convincingly, so we'll just be looking for a 5-minute higher low to form on consolidation. So there's no rejection because we're not rejecting from anything as far as resistance goes. So that means the bull miners are already going to be responding here. Still just watching that hourly trend on the miners. Natural gas, trying to see some bounce. Going to be very interesting. Natural gas should have some good volatility this morning with how we just started the day. So SPY going to test the low of yesterday first thing this morning. CGC, we're watching that low of yesterday. And on natural gas here, we're just going to be looking for a 5-minute lower high to form. So there's potential for an entry bearish on a 5-minute lower high with, of course, an appropriate stop level in place. So MedMen's up a bit first thing. We're going to see how much follow through we can get. OH is up as well. Looks like it's responding. Let's see if OH is confirming the daily bull flag. And it is, so daily bull flag confirmed. Want to see a bit more follow through, but so far so good. CGC testing the low of yesterday as SPY is testing the low of yesterday. Financial sector, yet again, is holding up much better than the tech sector. It's so far this morning, it's an exact repeat of yesterday. They're going in completely opposite directions. Almost looks like OH is the big winner, not MedMen. And what's happening right now is OH's premium or discount to CL is shrinking because the odds of the deal going through are becoming more likely. So we got a nice daily breakout on that bull flag. Next resistance on OH is 875 and 888. This is now the highest price that we've seen in 2 months. So we're looking for that 5-minute lower high on nat gas. And we'll expect a 5-minute equilibrium is the most likely scenario. So SPY below the low of yesterday. We're now going to be looking down at the next level of support at 296.64. And again, we're just watching the financial sector because as long as it holds up, SPY is not going to get too ugly. But if the financial sector were to drop and hit the low of the day, then it could get ugly. And if someone in the MJ room can post what the current discount is for OH, I would appreciate it. So NUGT still weak. We did break that low of yesterday, so bears still in control, being very patient there. And if natural gas moves up here a bit more, I'm going to be interested in DGAS. If we get one more high on this bounce on natural gas over 2614, I'm going to enter a DGAS position, but may have just missed it pulling up my order. So big drop on SPY first thing, 5-minute RSI just getting oversold. Still watching XLF in the low of the day. Again, it's got to break that low of the day if things are going to get ugly. There's very clearly sector rotation going on. Looks like funds are leaving tech and going to the financial sector the last 2 days. And it does look like I missed my DGAS entry. So I just took some partial profit on OH after the 7% start of the morning, just locking in some of that gain. And a reason being that MedMen is not seeing much follow through, so just cautious of profit taking on that initial spike. So we got our 5-minute lower high set on natural gas at 2614, and the bears want to see a break of 2585. XLF, for me, it's the low of the day. And I can say that if the low of the day does not break on XLF, I don't expect SPY to get really red today. Because it'll be just like yesterday where the financial sector is holding things up to a certain degree. So nat gas heading down towards support. TTD on the daily. Already broke the low of yesterday. Lack of support in this area. There's just nothing clear. So it's psychological levels 207, 206. Our hourly lower high from the bounce yesterday is 215.19. So anything under that level, just an hourly lower high. LK bulls breaking the high, and look at NUGT respond to SPY weakness. But LK bulls breaking the high of yesterday first thing. So getting over 2150 was a great sign for the bulls. Now we're looking at 22 psychological as resistance, and anything on the hourly time frame over 2090 will keep the bulls in control. So bull miners with a very strong start, a quick little dip, and now at the high of the day as SPY weakness continues. SPY 5-minute RSI is 23. So we'll be looking for a short-term bounce. Natural gas is testing the low. And if we break this low, the odds that our temporary top has been set will increase a good bit. So congrats to anybody that got that 5-minute lower high on DGAS. That was just me not being ready, where I had to log into my account real quick and didn't have a chance to pull up that order in enough time. So SPY is still all bear. XLF is getting closer and closer to that low of the day, 27.92. SPY next support level that we're going to be looking at. There's a gap fill on the daily that we're approaching as a target as we'll start filling the gap, and that gap fill would be at 294.06. SPY 5-minute RSI is now down in the teens. Hourly RSI on SPY is 32. And bull miners just love this market weakness. And we'll see if when the S&P 500 gets its 5-minute oversold bounce, we'll watch to see if that coincides with NUGT pulling back. But XLF broke the low of the day. So we have both XLF and QQQ pulling back now. QQQ hourly RSI is just getting oversold. So we're in a daily uptrend on QQQ. There's a gap at 188.49. And we're in hourly oversold conditions. So generally, hourly oversold conditions when in a daily uptrend is a good area to begin scouting for a daily higher low to potentially form. I was looking to enter natural gas bearish on that lower high. Pretty much as soon as we hit 261, I began to pull up an order, and then I realized I wasn't logged in. But it was just the size of the pullback and knowing that a 5-minute lower high was going to come from that. Or at least knowing that it would be very likely. So if SPY were to break 296 here, I will definitely be interested in scaling in for a 5-minute oversold bounce. So that's just setting the criteria of what would be needed for the trade to come to me. XLF is a potential weekly head and shoulders. We've been watching that on XLF and SPY for a couple months at this point almost. But we have to lose the daily uptrend for that right shoulder to have any possibility. UNT next resistance. Daily bull break over 305, so we're looking up at 381 as the next clear resistance level. So Netflix broke the low of yesterday, so we're now in an hourly downtrend of lower highs and lower lows. So obviously not the reaction the bulls wanted to see after that day yesterday. And we're now just looking back down at the daily low of 282.79. There's other support levels before that. But as far as the daily chart goes, with that exponential resistance continually rejecting the price, just looking down for a higher low on the daily, have to hold. Netflix, Apple, and Facebook are all lead bears in the tech sector. And it does look like NUGT is consolidating as SPY is just trying to get a little 5-minute bounce going. So watching that inverse relationship. OH is trying to make another move back to the high of the day. Still a ways to go there, few percent. So Netflix here, if we get this solid bounce, the range in the first 10 minutes of trading, we will look for a 5-minute equilibrium. So watch for a lower high to be set compared to the high of the day. SPY's 5-minute oversold bounce is getting going, so we're going to watch the 5-minute exponential resistance. So MedMen is definitely just about as disappointing as you can get on that news reaction. All profit taking. Gap up with only selling pressure. OH goes up 7% on MedMen's news, and MedMen's now in the red. So support is down at 258, and resistance is 279. Actually, 279 and 280 is a little double top of resistance on the daily chart. At this point on natural gas, I'd be waiting for a 15-minute lower high and a back test of exponential resistance if I were looking for a bearish entry. VGW. So bull break over 2, or make that 356 resistance. Anything on the hourly above 344 is a higher low. And we have a very wide range in the first 10 minutes of trading, so I expect to trade within that range for a solid 30-60 minutes. So Netflix will watch for a potential 5-minute equilibrium. So Kira is seeing a laggard bullish response because Kira has a deal in the works as well. So receiving some positive reaction to the MedMen news, just like OH is. So Curaleaf, that daily inside bar, broke bullish, and now it's just all about the recent high of 1033 to confirm a daily trend change. OH had a daily bull flag that confirmed, and Curaleaf, you could make the argument that that's a daily bull flag trying to confirm as well. Already high volume. Yesterday's total volume, we are over halfway there in 18 minutes of trading. So CGC pulling back. Daily consolidation is now officially underway by breaking the low of yesterday. And the sooner the bulls can change the hourly trend back in their favor, the better. Anything under 27.45 is just an hourly lower high. And the bulls want to see less than 4.6 million shares traded today. Declining volume on consolidation is ideal. And I do, as I said, I had someone else's account where I do have a position from 2470 or so. And I'm giving the bulls a chance on this daily consolidation because I'm comfortably in profit. But I want to see if we can form this daily higher low either today or tomorrow. Etsy bull break, really strong start to the day. Etsy bulls need a lot of help on the longer term time frames. So the daily chart is trying to negate the possibility of a bear flag. Next resistance, now that we've broken 50.55, is 51 psychological. Anything on the daily chart under 55.50 is just a lower high. So we're still 10% under the daily lower high. But at least it's making the daily bear flag less likely. Hourly higher low for the bulls to maintain control is 49.21, and the low of today held that level by 5 pennies. our OKU. So it's already bouncing, and this is the kind of setup where I would be watching for a 5-minute equilibrium because there's a lot of volatility in the first 10-15 minutes, and we're bouncing and looking for a lower high just like Netflix. Very similar 5-minute setup to Netflix. We were looking for the lower high, and now we'll look for a 5-minute high or low on Netflix. But our OKU, very similar. So the oversold bounce has already taken place as far as the 5-minute time frame is concerned, as that RSI is now back in the 40s. SPY rejecting initially from the 5-minute exponential moving average resistances, so a weak bounce attempt at this point. LABS. So Labs daily consolidation underway, very correlated to the other major Canadian MJ names. Support after 476 is 471, but we have to change the hourly trend, and anything under 513 is just an hourly lower high. So CWeb had the bear break on the daily time frame yesterday, and we're following through with it today. $20 is the only support level nearby, and anything on the hourly time frame under 22 is just a lower high. Everybody in the MJ sector, for the most part, aside from names responding to this news today, is doing the same thing. We pulled back yesterday. We had a bounce yesterday afternoon to set an hourly lower high, and now we're dropping to lower lows today. And that's also exactly what SPY did. If I'm looking at SLV and I'm struggling to find trend, I'm just going to default and look at silver, because silver has continuity and a lot more trading data. So right now, I would not consider SLV changing the hourly trend. I see it breaking some hourly resistances. 1701 is a little short-term double top of resistance. And then I look at silver to see what it's doing, and silver has changed the hourly trend convincingly. So I look at the 4-hour time frame, and I make note that we are just looking for a silver 4-hour lower high to form. And the 12-period exponential resistance on the 4-hour time frame for silver, which previously acted as support September 4th, has rejected the price twice in the past 2 days, and we're testing it again. It's currently at... I'm on gold. Forget everything that I just said for silver. Let's see if it's the same. So a little bit of a different setup. 4-hour lower high on silver is 1828. And if we can't break 1828 on this bull move, then we're going to be looking for a potential 4-hour inverse head and shoulders pattern to try and change that trend and get the daily bounce going. SPY has a double bottom at the low of the day currently. We'll see if that level can hold. JPM is just an absolute rocket ship. If you look at what JPM has done since it changed its daily trend, it's been astounding. And it's also a clue. So we're looking at the potential head and shoulders patterns on the financial sector. And if JPM breaks 117.24, which it did already by 3 pennies, but that's breaking the head of its potential head and shoulders. So JPM is attempting to negate the head and shoulders pattern on its individual chart, which for me would increase the odds, or I should say it would decrease the odds that the financial sector is a head and shoulders pattern, the more individual names ruin that pattern. Amazon, Netflix, lead tech bears. The biotech sector continues to get hit hard. It has not changed the daily trend, and all it keeps doing is just daily lower highs and lower lows. So 77.87 is the lowest price we've seen on this consolidation for XBI, as the bears still have full control with constant rejections from daily exponential resistance. We'll see if they're able to hold that support to try and form a daily higher low. OH bulls trying to make another attempt at the high of the day. NUGT 5-minute higher low established at 31.94, and we're testing the high of the day now to try and see continuation. Hourly resistance is 34.18, still a ways away. But a clear 5-minute higher low and higher high. BA currently seeing 5-minute consolidation. Bulls are hoping for a higher low, the sooner the better, to give the possibility of continuation. So bulls want that 5-minute higher low to form nowish, holding the exponential supports. I would say if we pull back, well, let's just watch to see how this consolidation takes place the next couple minutes, but so far very healthy on the 5-minute time frame. And daily chart for BA, very clear resistance, double top at 360, just under 365, and the high of today is just under those levels. So very clear daily resistance being tested. Decent little bounce on CGC, up 1% from the low of the day. We'll see if the bulls can do anything with it. We'll need a clear 5-minute trend change for any kind of shift in momentum. But SPY is at the low of the day. Still very little bounce attempt. So I said maybe 15 minutes ago that I would enter SPY on a bear break of 296 for the 5-minute oversold bounce. And that setup is completely changed by the one green candlestick on the 5-minute time frame. Because what that did is completely cool off the RSI 10 points. So a lot of people newer to technical analysis have a hard time understanding how things can change. If I can say I want a bullish entry on a 296 break, 10 minutes later, I could not want that entry based on what that 10 minutes of action does. So because those RSIs cooled off, it's a completely different scenario. Gush testing the high of the day. We did form a higher low compared to the low of the day, so 409 is short-term support. If we reject from the high of the day, we'll have a 5-minute tightening range. If we break the high of the day, the daily continues its breakout. So key resistance test. APHA holding on a little bit better than CGC and CRON and VFF. 5-minute tightening range. High of the day and the low of the day were set in the same first 5-minute candlestick. We just set a lower high, and now the bulls need to hold the low of the day for a higher low. All Canadian MJ names have to change the hourly trend to be looking for daily higher lows to be established. The MedMen news is mostly bullish for OH as opposed to CL. It's definitely bullish for CL because CL odds of getting OH as far as buying them out, they increase. But all of the discount is on OH. So there's really no reason to be buying CL over OH, in my opinion. And I've been saying that for a while, and I've been liking OH with that bullish overhang as the potential surprise news that could lead to discount being evaporated very quickly. And today is just an example of that. So CMG temporary top is in. Big dump on the daily. The daily uptrend has been lost. That bear entry, as far as losing the daily higher low, was 823. And we very quickly dropped almost 2% from that bear break. And now weekly consolidation is underway. Volume climax yesterday. It's the highest volume in almost a month. And a bearish reversal candlestick with a lot of follow through now. So SPY is grinding the 5-minute exponential moving average resistances, looking at it on a shorter term time frame. 2-minute chart could be shaping up for a 2-minute falling wedge. The low of the day did not get much follow through. TNX. So 162 broke yesterday. And now we're looking up at 172 as the next resistance level. Or 1770 depending on which chart. TNX has two charts on TradingView. One is on CBOE. Their levels are fairly lined up. But 1717, next resistance. And again, the hourly uptrend is what we're watching. 1608 is the last hourly high or low. MCD, all bears this morning with the 5-minute exponential resistance driving the price down. Hourly RSI is pretty darn beat up. 14 on the hourly RSI. The 4-hour RSI is 21. So not sure what kind of bad news that was, but a big gap down and dump. And now the double top at the all-time high is becoming a lot more serious. 209.37 is a very key support being tested. We broke it by a few pennies. That's not convincing, but on this 2-day pullback, we're losing the daily uptrend and the weekly uptrend at the same time. And there's now a brick wall of resistance between 220 and 222, the all-time high. So that's a very clear, significant rejection, and volume is already half of yesterday's total volume. When we do see a bounce, we'll have to get over the 5-minute exponential resistances, but we will just be looking for a 5-minute lower high to form. Checking back in on natural gas. Still watching for a 15-minute lower high. I like the 15-minute time frame for clarity right now. Bear cross of the 15-minute exponential moving averages happening for the first time in a while. AMAG broke its daily inside bar bullish. And now it's just 1233, 1234, 2% away. Thanks for the info. I was curious about that. McDonald's dump. On the 5-minute time frame, I use 4 and 8 period exponential moving averages. Pretty much hourly and under is 4 and 8, and 4-hour and higher is 1226. Faster reacting exponential moving averages on short-term time frames for quick trades. Little bit slower exponential moving averages on the longer-term time frames. So decent little CGC bounce. As I said in the video yesterday, give me a bear break of the low of yesterday, this morning, and give me a close near the high of the day for a lower wick and a bullish daily candle. That's what I would want to see. work. Real tight 5-minute sideways range. 24.65 and low of the day are support. And 25.05 is resistance. After 25.05 is 25.43, the high of yesterday's bounce attempt. So looking for a break in the near term. Can't get much tighter than where we're at the last 20 minutes. Nice V-shaped bounce on IWM, trying to play catch up. IWM 152.24 resistance. And we held the hourly uptrend. The hourly higher low was 150.73, and we held that by 16 cents. Not sure which chart you're talking about, Toy Owl. Let me know. So IBB is trying to bounce. We have to change the 5-minute trend. We have broken some resistance. We're testing the high of the day. So what the IBB bulls and the XBI bulls are hoping is that today is our daily higher low. 136 was support. We held that by 22 cents. And now IBB for the rest of the week has to see a bull move to get over 103.16 to change the daily trend. But first things first, we need a new high of the day or a 5-minute trend change. I am liking the CGC action. So far, so good for today's consolidation. Again, with no help from SPY. I don't think the weak metals bounce signals a bottom on SPY. I think, just from my observations, I would say that the metals and the miners are reacting to SPY. So I don't think SPY is reacting to the metals. So I would say the fact that SPY started this morning with a pullback is leading to the miners bounce and the metals bouncing a bit. So I think SPY is going to dictate what happens short term with the metals and miners. But there's no indication of SPY giving us a daily higher low at this point, as we're still hovering over the low of the day. Disney is all bears. Daily support is 135.06. Definitely looking for a short-term oversold bounce in the near term with where the 5 and 15-minute RSI levels are at. MNK all bulls this morning. Oversold bounce on the daily, getting follow through. And 3 and 310 are the next resistances. NIO with a very nice bull move after selling the first 5-minute candle. 327 is approaching. That is the level. And we will assume that next time we consolidate on the 5-minute time frame, we'll be looking for a 5-minute higher low to form. Snap, bear break, new low of the day on a bear volume spike. Daily time frame falling apart by breaking 1503. So now we're looking down at 1425 as the next support level. And the weekly uptrend has been lost as far as I'm concerned. 1396 is the next weekly support level. Keeping in mind that RSI levels on a name like Snap can potentially get extreme if we just look back historically. Hourly RSI on Snap is currently 17. And in the past, I see we got down to 19, 18. So we're approaching historical bounce levels as far as hourly RSI is concerned. I don't know if there's news related to this dump. That would definitely be a factor as well. KHC, that clue days ago that you pointed out was definitely automated buying. And it's definitely seen a ton of follow through. Gap fill at 29.49. Trying to find that automated buying on the chart to just show. There it is. It really kicked everything off. It's a good example. So here is what was pointed out. This is not normal price action. This is automated buying, trapping some shorts. And look at the price action before that. It was just all choppy. We pulled back. Automated action happens. And then look at the next however many days, the next week of trading. Just stair step higher. And that was the spark. So Kira didn't really do much. Dropping back down to the low of the day, definitely a red flag. We're still holding that low of the day, but we can stay in this tightening daily range between 988 and 1033. We can stay within this range for another couple days with how today is shaping up. So not the reaction the bulls were hoping for. For crypto, I'm always using 1226. NUGT, new high of the day, so the 5-minute uptrend continues. SPY being at the low of the day is only helping that. 5-minute higher low is now 32.12 on NUGT. And again, the hourly resistance is 34.18. So the video I posted last night so far playing out as far as looking for degas and bull miners to potentially be plays today. Obviously based on natural gas being so overextended, but also the straight drop on those miners 4 days in a row. SLV is a double top at 1701. Hourly time frame for silver, 1817 or 1866 is a double top as well. So yet again, SPY's hitting a lower low, and so far not a lot of follow through. So keeping an eye on that 2-minute. Let's draw this pattern out. 2-minute falling wedge potential. So this is what we're watching on SPY. We'll see if it follows through. And I know to look for wedges when we see breaks with a lack of follow through. So Monday morning, SPY had an hourly time frame where the higher highs were not getting much follow through. It was a rising wedge. Currently, SPY is a potential 2-minute falling wedge because each new low of the day, we broke a low of the day by 8 pennies, and then we broke the low of the day by 8 pennies again. So obviously that's not significant. And that's a clue where I otherwise wouldn't be, I look at this 5-minute time frame, that doesn't scream falling wedge to me. But I know to look for it on other time frames because of what the price action is doing. Not necessarily because of the shape that's obviously in front of me on the chart. So natural gas, we're watching this 15-minute and looking for a lower high. Bears would like to see the price get back to the mid 261s and reject on a back test of exponential resistance. LTC USD is just stair-stepping higher. trying for another 4-hour higher low. And it's just being contained by Bitcoin being contained. We are getting little higher lows and higher highs because the Litecoin Bitcoin pairing has been going up. But we're not going to see big moves unless Bitcoin's going up and the LTC BTC chart is going up. Otherwise, it's going to be small moves. The red flag would be if Bitcoin breaks its 4-hour tightening range bearish. That would be a red flag on Litecoin for me. Very nice recovery on Netflix. Netflix is testing the high of yesterday resistance, 295. Biotech sector, notable V-shaped recovery. So again, looking for that daily higher low to now be set. And it's all about hitting that daily higher high the rest of this week. So the biotech bull's definitely getting my attention now. And it's a falling wedge on the daily, well, I guess it's more of a channel. Let's see, I'll draw it. Yeah, more of a channel than a falling wedge. I'm just concerned with the downtrend, which is trying to change. TRUL, what is that delayed reaction about? Definitely looks like news the last 10 minutes on TRUL. That volume spike just after 10 o'clock of 54,000 shares. You usually see the highest volume candlestick, the first one of the day. And it was 3 times that. So something's up with TRUL, but the bulls really needed this on the daily time frame to create some space before dropping to lower lows. SPY is trying to break out of that falling wedge. 296.63 is the highest bounce attempt from this morning. So I'd say that's the most important resistance. And now we've got the tech sector bouncing and the financial sector at the low of the day. So they have been going inverse to each other yesterday and so far this morning. CGC wants the volume to be low. Consolidating volume declining is a bullish sign. OH, another attempt at the high of the day. Creeping its way closer. Bull miners still hovering near the high of the day. So a lot going on this morning as far as natural gas, bull miners, MJ space. CGC bulls want a new high of the day here. Nice bounce on APHA at the high of the day in the green already. So very convincing move there. And the APHA daily chart right now is exactly what all Canadian MJ bulls want to see as far as a candlestick today. And we will still need hourly trend changes, but it's a start. OH is at the high of the day, $9, next psychological resistance level. Then we're looking at 9.13. This is definitely one of the more notable shifts on the weekly time frame in the USMJ sector with what OH is doing. NUGT was getting a little extended, but nothing very notable. We're looking for a 5-minute higher low compared to 32.12, but SPY is getting its bounce going, so this is a decent pullback on NUGT. SPY is confirming that 2-minute falling wedge. Natural gas just dropped to a lower low, so that 15-minute lower high did not last long. Facebook, tight range. Bulls are trying to get over 187.79, which we just did, so it's the high of the day resistance. And the daily chart, daily inside bar setting up. Have to break that bullish tomorrow if we do form a daily inside bar for that to be our daily higher low being set. Microsoft does not have very liquid options. The options on all those other major tech names are way more liquid. So solid move on SPY. There goes DGAS. Really nice follow through. And we are very confident the top of natural gas is set for now, so watching for daily consolidation. Still looking for that 4-hour high or low. We're about to test 4-hour exponential support, so I personally would not be expecting too much more significant downside, at least in the short term. And things are looking real good for Canadian MJ. I've been very skeptical, and just as far as what I laid out, perfect day today, it's so far happening. And we'll see if that can keep up for the next 4+ hours. It's a long way to go, but if we closed right here, right now, that's exactly what I called for as the most bullish scenario for today. So hope everybody has a good rest of their morning. I'll be back in 15 minutes to continue coverage in the chat room. And zooming back out to the 15-minute time frame now for SPY. Again, after the morning plays out and after we get short-term clarity, that's when I zoom out to the 15-minute, because SPY, anything under the high of the day is just a 15-minute lower high. And yesterday it was the same thing. We dumped yesterday morning. We bounced into the late morning. It was just a 15-minute lower high, and then the bears showed up again. So how if the bulls can change this 15-minute trend, it'll be more notable. And let's just show this 2-minute falling wedge one more time. The follow-through the bulls have gotten. The clue was the lack of follow-through, the lack of lower lows. Or I shouldn't say the lack of lower lows. It's just the lack of follow-through on those lower lows. See you soon.